Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. This show is about Plymouth County real estate. We're going to be reporting in this June show on the May recordings at the Registry of Deeds. Our headline for the month was COVID brings sales numbers down, refinancing continues. So I have a great guest in the second segment of the show after we talk about the numbers for the month, and we have some of our great Plymouth County and Plymouth Colony history in the third segment. So let's go right to the images of deeds of sales of property. There were 647 deeds recorded in May, slightly less than the 652 deeds recorded in April. However, 32% less than last April. 8% for the first 5 months of 2008. You're going to see that image of sales coming for the month. Our average sale price continues to go up and was up 5%. As I said, you're going to see an image of sales from Abington to Whitman. There were obviously sales in each of our 27 communities. The next image you're going to see is of mortgages. Again, it was just like the last few months. It was an incredible month for mortgages, in particular refinances. It's the highest number of mortgages recorded in over 2 years. There were 2,727 mortgages recorded in May, up from the 2,119 in April, up 38% compared to the 1,976 last May. And in the first 5 months of the calendar year, we're up 60% on recorded mortgages. It's a completely different story for foreclosure documents. There is a foreclosure moratorium in place due to the COVID-19 concerns. There were only 4 foreclosure deeds recorded in May. Foreclosure deeds are allowed for vacant properties, less than the 18 in April, 56% less than last May, and through the first 5 months of the calendar year 2020, it's 7% lower. Foreclosure notices are an even more severe story. There was only 1 foreclosure notice recorded for all of the 27 communities in Plymouth County in the month of May. A foreclosure notice is what happens when a property is headed to a foreclosure. If you are in trouble, I would reach out to a federal housing counselor. There are programs in place now during the COVID-19 period where you can, upon your request, put your payments at the end of your mortgage. But I would call NeighborWorks of Southeastern Mass in order to walk your way through the program. But again, don't hesitate, because hesitation will cause you to lose your property. You're going to see an image of foreclosure deeds again and orders of notice for all the communities. And there's a lot of big fat zeros there. First time we've seen this many zeros for foreclosure deeds and orders of notice in communities since I have started many years ago. So we've had a huge increase on electronic recording of documents. The registry right now is closed to the public at all 3 of our offices, Plymouth, Brockton, and Rockland. We do have a Dropbox that people can drop documents off to be recorded. And the amount of electronic recordings coming in over the internet from submitters number in over 80% for recorded land and in the 60s for land court side of it. Certainly a world that has changed relative to recording documents. Our training room operations are closed currently until further notice. But I want you to be aware of a lot of fraud that happens during these times. And if you get someone trying to talk about your property be very careful. If you go to our website, Plymouth.deeds, you can see PlymouthRegistry.org. You can see a free alert that you can sign up for, so that if something is recorded against your property, you'll get a notification. PlymouthDeeds.org. Take advantage of that. And I have a great guest in the second segment of the show, Bernie Hassan of Weichert Realtors-Briarwood Real Estate, discussing the status of the real estate market currently and what he sees us achieving in the future. Thank you. See you in the next segment. So welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we always do something educational in nature. We've had surveyors, appraisers, different people, commercial real estate brokers, many people that have done lending over the years. Of course, my number one guests have always been realtors, because realtors have their ear to the ground and notice all the subtle changes that are happening in the real estate market instantaneously. And I have a great guest on the show who's been on this show before, Bernie Hassan of Weichert Realtor. Explain that again, Bernie. I lost you.
You there?
Yep.
Yeah, Weichert Realtors-Briarwood Real Estate.
Briarwood Real Estate, yes. So Bernie, how you doing?
Pretty good, John. Yourself?
Good. So I follow you a little bit on Facebook when you've made some discussions on why people should be acting now in real estate, where you think it's going. So we'll start with, how do you think real estate has been through the beginning of this COVID crisis? And what have you had to do differently?
Well, honestly, clearly it's had an impact on the marketplace, but I will tell you that, there's been a significant uptick over the last handful of weeks. Certainly once the governor made us essential, then we were able to operate, again, not normally, but we are consistently selling property right now, and showing property and listing property and open housing. And it's been relatively busy. It's not quite what it might have been in a spring market, but it has been pretty active. So that's what I can tell you. Where it's going, I don't know. I think only a few months of this may give us an idea of where it's going. I don't know what the impact of almost 40 million people unemployed is going to be. I don't know what the impact of mortgage defaults are going to be, because it's June now, and again, I believe there was a significant number of them in May. So those things I think will pan out, but the interest rates are still relatively low, and there's really not enough inventory out there. So when something comes on the market, it generally sells fairly quickly. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, our numbers for the month of May, which I reported on earlier in the show, were much more solid than I would have anticipated with all this going on. And I'm hearing that there's a lot of pent-up demand, so that when things do get back to semi-normal, when people get back to work, many of the people are looking to make a move. And I would think that would be a big burst at the time.
I think there is still a demand. I mean, there are multiple buyers still out there. Some of the fallout in the financing is what we're starting to experience a little bit too, because, you'll have somebody get involved in a transaction and then be furloughed or laid off, or the job will just end for some reason. And then this has happened multiple times, by the way. In some cases, they've been able to find other jobs right away. But that's been a bit of an impact too. So again, like I said, while we're still selling property, it's hard to say where the market really is going to go. My sense is as long as interest rates stay low and inventory stays low, it's going to be difficult to depress the real estate value, you know. But we're going to see. I think we're going to find out.
And two of those points, we had a 5% increase in average sale value last month, the month of May. And as far as financing goes, we had a record month for refinancing, mortgages in general. And I was surprised because I always thought there might be some last minute verification before they released the money that they still had jobs, and that might be a problem. But apparently it wasn't. We had the highest number of mortgages recorded in over 2 years. And again, that include many refinances.
All right, well, there you go. So again, it's really a tough one to assess, in terms of recession and recessive economy, because it's just such a different animal. I think, go ahead, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things I've observed over the last number of years is the technology changes for realtors, which thankfully for these times had already happened before this crisis. You guys moved so fast with your offers and purchase and sales agreements and electronic signatures, way faster than we operate because of the restrictions that we have. So that must have been very helpful going into this crisis.
Yeah, it really was, because quite frankly, we immediately shut down, all companies did for the most part immediately, and everybody went home. And we began working almost exclusively from the house for the first 3 weeks. And then, the governor took a look at it and allowed us to be essential, which allowed us to open up. And we have restrictions. There's, for instance, and I was talking to, a couple other real estate company managers and broker owners just yesterday about the topic. A couple of neighbors of mine here on the street, and a couple in Brockton, and we chat regularly about, where the business is going. And, we're kind of all operating somewhat the same way. Like, for instance, at this office and those offices as well, when you come to the door, you have to have an appointment to come in. Number one, the door is locked, but there is an admin staff inside. The agents can come and go. They do have to notify me before they come and when they leave. Mm-hmm. They do have to notify me if they're bringing a client in. I've got an agent just called me a few minutes ago before I came on the air with you, John, and they are bringing in a client to write up an offer.
Great.
Masks, no entry.
Wow.
We social distance inside the office.
Yes.
And there are sections of my office, like the admin portion of my office is kind of off limits right now. I mean, we send things up there, just trying to limit the interaction. Right. And that's the office. Then there's open houses. We've always been a huge open house company. And to be quite frank with you, we've done as many as 9 or 10 of these on a weekend and seen 50, 60, 70 customers, all with social distance.
How do you manage that? You don't let everyone come into the house at the same time, obviously.
Right. So the law around this and, the government protocols, the state protocols around this, that they handed down to the MAR, Massachusetts Association of Realtors, and so forth are, I guess one of them is no more than 10 people in the house. Well, we go another step. We actually, we've tried to have, appointments for certain times. Doesn't really work as easily, but we just tell them in advance, no large crowds, couples only, don't bring the whole family. Gotta have, absolutely have to wear masks. You get the house to yourself for 10 minutes, maybe 15. You walk through, you touch nothing. All the closet doors are open. We might leave some cabinets open. And then they leave and we send the next couple in. Everybody has to sign in and, again, be respectful of social distancing and the time frames. And we get it done. Like I said, on a weekend, and we've had between 5 and 10 open. On a weekend with 10 open houses, we've seen 70, 80, 90 people come through.
Oh,
And then the effect of those opens the following Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, half of those properties go under agreement.
that's still as fast as it was, you know?
Correct. And I think that's largely driven by the inventory too.
Right, right.
You know? So there is some demand out there.
So clearly, again, the technology that your operations have developed over the years as far as showing a house online has helped?
Yes, yes. There's a lot that's been done with virtual tours. You can see some of them now. Most of the time with our listings, they're almost always professionally photoed with photographers, most of them. Because quite frankly, you know, I mean, again, you can do great things with an iPhone or a great camera, but you know, professionals do the job. And of course, virtual tours. You know, there are companies out doing a great job. So yes, that does help. But at the end of the day, John, you're going to buy a house, you got to see a house. So
Right. So where do you see us going over the course of the summer and into the early fall?
well,
Assuming the trend continues of the drop in cases and things start to
yes,
open up.
assuming that you know the cases remain low and continue to drop and level off. And listen, you know, with any luck, we come up with some kind of vaccine and potential cure sometime late this year. I think we're going to be pretty much like this. I think we'll be okay. Do I think we're going to see a tiny drop in volume year over year and month over month? Probably. We've already seen that. But like I said, you know, well, just to preface, going back to that, one of the issues that has come up, and this was prior to COVID-19, was the number of people that were getting ready to sell their homes to buy another home and make a move. Those are the people that stopped. Some of them are starting to slowly come back. That's the impact on the market we've had, you know. So
They were afraid they wouldn't be able to find something.
we wouldn't be able to find something, and they also feared, quite frankly, showing their property.
Right.
You know, some people but other people were like, listen, I've got to move for this reason. So if you've got to move, and there's multiple reasons why you'd buy a house, you know, right now.
Well, you've been a great guest before, and I've always asked these two questions. And I'm going to ask it in light of our present set of circumstances. What would be your top tips to a seller, first of all, under these circumstances?
Well, you know, under these circumstances, and almost in every circumstances, even outside of this, you know, do your homework with your realtor. Go to a company that absolutely has criteria and standards, because criteria and standards aren't mandated by law. And not every one of these companies and not all these real estate agents are created the same. So you're going to get involved selling your house. They not only should have criteria and standards in general for the marketing of the property, and they should be able to show you that. They should also be able to understand the COVID-19 protocols and how they would show their home safely and get their home sold under the conditions.
And then again, under the current standards, what tips would you tell to likely buyers?
Be prepared, because, and I'm doing this right now with a couple of sets of buyers, and it's happening here in my office. We have about 35 agents here, and they're all showing property, and they're coming up with the same problems. There are still multiple office situations, overbid situations still going on. So you need to have your ducks in order. You need to have a good pre-approval, and you need to be pretty much ready to roll. And you know, you need to be, if you're going to get coached by your loan originator and your buyer agent, do it so that you write an offer that's solid and that can compete, because you will be in competition.
And last but not least, any special tips for my favorite people, first-time home buyers?
Tips for first-time home buyers, you know, the biggest one is get a pre-approval. You know, I mean, without that, you don't stand a chance. I've had people trying to, well, can't we just go look? And then the minute we look, oh, I want to make an offer. Well, okay, we're going to make an offer without a pre-approval So that's really what you need to understand, what the costs are going to be. You need to understand what your monthly payment's going to look like. And you need to know the process. We do a buyer consultation with buyers, and we sit them down and show them the process. So I would suggest that.
Right. Can you share your contact information with our viewers?
Yes, my name is Bernie Hassan. I'm the sales manager at Weichert Realtors-Briarwood Real Estate. We're located on 31 Belmont Street in Southeastern, right on the Brockton line. Our office number is 508-230-8200. My text and cell phone direct line is 508-826-3155.
Well, as always, great to see you, Bernie. Thank you
You
very
too,
much
John.
for sharing your wisdom.
Okay, my friend.
So I want to thank Bernie Hassan for the great job he did in describing what is happening in the real estate market and what is going to be happening futuristically, in his opinion. This segment of the show, we always do something lighter in nature, a little bit of our history of Plymouth County and even Plymouth Colony. The holidays for the month of June, June 7th, National Chocolate Ice Cream Day, the 14th, Flag Day, also the 14th, World Blood Donor Day. The summer solstice begins on the 20th, and the 21st is Father's Day. So we're gradually transitioning to more normalcy, including return to the beach. So we're going to talk about some of our great beaches here in Plymouth County with some of our notable records collection. Plymouth County has 10 communities of the 27, either on the Atlantic Ocean or on Buzzards Bay. So we're going to start with an image for Duxbury Beach. So Duxbury Beach is a beautiful white sand 6-mile barrier beach, currently owned by the Duxbury Beach Reservation. It's a unique and ever-shaping resource on the Atlantic coast of the South Shore of Massachusetts. You either get to the beach by the wooden bridge, Powder Point Bridge, originally built in 1892, or traveling over Gurnett Road in Marshfield. So it serves as a recreational, scenic, conservation area in a natural breakwater for the towns of Duxbury, Kingston, and Plymouth. It has a beautiful salt marshes, home of numerous species of wildlife and beach creatures, and has gone through many ownerships, including many potential developers over the years, before being transferred in 1975 to its present owner. Through the continued vigilance of the present owner, it will always remain as Plymouth County's wonderful resources. Next beach you're going to see is Gray's Beach Park in Kingston. It's one of Kingston's most beloved public spaces, a hidden jewel in Rocky Nook, a 6.5-acre park offering both shade and sun, tennis court, basketball hoops, and public access to the beach. During 1643, Edward Gray, who arrived in the colony at that time, became one of the area's wealthiest men. And during Kingston's shipbuilding heyday in the 19th century, several wharfs stood along Rocky Nook and rigged and outfitted newly launched vessels. In 1936, town officials began to look into ways to provide residents with access to the waterfront. And over the next few years, WPA projects cleared the area, drained the swampy spots, and provided a shoreline. They built an access road and parking area and covered what was black mud with beach sand. Again, through the result of forward thinking decades ago, Gray's Beach remains a favorite for town residents and visitors alike. And last but not least on our beaches is White Horse Beach. And White Horse Beach is known to many. What is not known to many is the legend that attaches to White Horse Beach, the legend of Helen and her white horse. White Horse Beach is in the village of Plymouth along the Atlantic Ocean. It is well-known public beach on Cape Cod Bay. It is a small business district, the White Horse Post Office, a general store, and immediately offshore Flag Rock, which is painted every year on the 4th of July. It's adjacent to Priscilla Beach and the Priscilla Beach Theater. Local legend tells of a young woman named Helen who was prohibited from her father from marrying a young sailor who had shipwrecked off the coast of Plymouth, and she had nursed him back to health. There's a story that goes with that General Arnold will save for another day. But Helen, who was distraught over her romance, rode her white horse into the surf and was never seen alive again. The local legend is that on foggy nights, you can see Helen riding down the streets adjacent to White Horse Beach, passing through the area. And that story of Helen has been passed down for generations. And I will say, former employee Sue Wood and her husband Bob were great contributors to that story. And so I'm also going to show one of our very important colonial records. Plymouth Colony was founded upon the arrival of the Mayflower in 1620. However, in 1636, the colonial court ordered the digging of a canal. The canal was between Duxbury Harbor and Greens Harbor, it was called at the time, now known as Green Harbor, up the Cut River. So there were 10 men, only men at the time, assigned to dig a canal, and the canal was for the betterment of avoiding the rocks on Gurnett Point. And those 10 men worked together, and they dug a canal that was 18 feet wide and 6 feet deep. And it saved a lot of aggravation and destruction of ships by making that America's first canal connect and avoid Gurnett Point. One of our great stories of the great Plymouth Colony. I want to thank Lorna Green Baker and Christine Richards, my office, helped me put this show together. Mike Simmons from Brockton Cable Access, who helped me produce this show. And I want to thank the many local access providers who take a copy of this show and share it with viewers throughout Plymouth County. So have a safe month. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you in July. Thank you very much.